Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sunday with Jay Barsky. This episode's guest is an old friend to this podcast and a close friend of mine, Raul Hernandez. Raul was a guest on this podcast a couple of years ago, and I invited him over again just to catch up with him. You'll hear us talk about the great shows he's been doing with his company, Dade County Comedy, him bringing comedy to multiple Comic Con locations, and much more. So, with that being said, I hope you enjoy our Sunday with Raul Hernandez. Raul, what's up? How you doing?
Hi, Barsky. How's it going, man? It's great to be here. I haven't been here in a bit. How you been?
I'm good. Yeah, you haven't been here in a bit, and I had to listen to our last podcast just to kind of remember what we spoke about. But it's also been a while since I saw you. I feel like the last time I saw you was in West Palm.
Probably. Yeah. I try to venture up here as much as I can, but
I have trouble now going down to Miami and just because I don't do stand up too. I still do it, but just not as much. I want to say when you first saw me a lot, I was doing it too. I feel like too much that my health was kind of getting bad because I
Oh, man.
wasn't. Yeah, by the end of when I was after 2.5 years, I just noticed I was losing a lot of weight. I was really skinny, but I was staying the same weight, and I was just eating a lot of fast food, junk food, kind of
Yeah.
living off the road
Oh,
because I
yeah.
was traveling so much
Yeah.
and doing stand up, taking time. I still have my day job,
Yeah.
so I kind of had to not take a break, but tone it down, and I've been more focused on my health. I made that more my priority, and being more of a morning person because I like going. I've been addicted to going to the gym now, so
That's
I'm just
great.
focusing on my health. That
Yeah.
now I prioritize my health, but now I still do stand up. But I'm saying I'm glad to see you
I'm
because it's
glad to see you, bro. Trust me, I know all the plight of staying out late. There's not many healthy food options late at night, really. And the ones that are available are really expensive.
yeah.
Or usually Uber Eats. Uber Eats is now $50 almost every time you do an Uber Eats. It's
Hmm.
insane.
Or eating
So
at the
or
bars,
eating
or
at the bars
yeah.
and stuff like that. And that don't get me wrong, I love eating at bars. I love eating at anywhere, but it does take a toll on you. It does truly take a toll on you. I
Yeah,
feel you.
yeah. So yeah, I had to just refocus everything and change everything up. So even when I do the open mics and stuff, and they can run pretty late, and it depends on my nights if I do multiple open mics or if I do multiple things that night.
Yeah.
But usually now I right after I go up early in open mic, I go right away. I leave right away and just go straight home, and
Yeah.
I try to go to my goal usually is 9 o'clock,
Yeah.
8:30, 9 o'clock, because I try to get up 4 or 5 in the
Oh
morning.
my God.
Yeah.
Is it because you're trying to beat everyone to the gym or?
Yeah, when I wake up in the morning, I try to first I try to meditate first thing in the morning before I
Yeah.
go to the gym. But yeah, it's just I want to wake up and go to now I'm like I said, I'm addicted to it.
Yeah.
But I think what it is, I started listening to podcasts because before I never really liked going to the gym. I'll go just to focus on my health.
Yeah.
But I kind of changed it up and started listening to podcasts, and I zone out when I go to the gym. I don't even focus on oh, what muscles am I working out today. It's just
Yeah.
what podcast can I listen to while I'm
I feel
doing
you.
this.
I feel you 1,000%. Yeah. I'm a little jealous of you that you get to meditate. I want. It's actually something I've been thinking about doing a lot lately. I have been going to the gym more.
Mhm.
Me and Tarno. I don't know if you remember Tarno.
Yeah, of course.
Me and Tarno have been going to the gym a lot more together, which is great. It's great to have a companion to go to the gym with and kind of go through a weight loss journey with. But meditating, man, let me tell you, there's so many times I wake up in the morning and I'm just gotta go to work, gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta. And
Yeah.
I would love to have a moment of respite, a moment to just decompress, think about my goals are, reset your goals,
Yeah.
reset your mind frame. And it's something I really, the older you get, I think, your parents talk about, or whenever you talk to an older adult, they always talk about, oh, you're spoiled with time right now. You're gonna realize that time is so fleeting.
Yeah.
And it's something I'm starting to really experience now.
Mm,
It's something I'm waking up early in the morning does help with that though,
yeah.
because then you're not having life come upon you
Yeah.
that early in the morning.
Yeah.
So I get that feeling.
Yeah. Like when I was doing like stand up, like I want to say at least, well, not all stand up, like even going to comedy shows, but I would like, my goal would do like 3 nights a week, like devote at least 3 nights a week, devote something.
Yeah.
But I was staying up late at night
Yeah.
and like wake up like, or be really sleepy throughout the whole day. And I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. Like,
It's rough.
yeah, it's hard to
Don't
have a day, like
have
a,
a day job, have
eh,
day responsibilities and night responsibilities.
yeah,
It's hard.
yeah,
Something I realized now is that doing comedy, after you get off stage, you're still wired. Still,
mm,
because for a lot of people, it's an adrenaline
yeah,
response, right?
yeah,
So you're gonna stay up at least 2 more hours to
yeah.
decompress from that, to come down from that, and it's really rough sometimes. So
Oh yeah, dude. When I now come to the point where I've like planned out when if I do multiple mics, so like even after I come from one mic
yeah,
and I'm heading to another mic,
yeah,
I'm like, oh, like I feel that adrenaline, like because I'm in between one
yeah.
adrenaline to the next.
And it's like, yeah, you're chasing a dragon a little bit, right? It's a big deal. But I mean, probably why I'm addicted to it. That's probably why I'm addicted to the experience, because I
Yeah.
love that feeling, especially when a show goes well or you have a good set. It's like one of the best feelings in the world, truly.
Well, I want to transition. You were
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about like the shows that you've had success in.
yeah.
You had a couple of shows these past 2 nights.
Yes,
One I'm interested. You had Diana,
Diane Jorge.
yeah, who was doing her
Sh-
Walter
her, yeah,
Mercado.
I want to like give away. I mean, well, spoiler alert. So Diane Jorge does a great rendition, like kind of an impersonation, a little bit of Walter Mercado.
Yeah.
She calls it Mercado de la Fortuna, but I like it because one, I feel like some comedians find this, like they find this kind of pathway
Yeah.
that you make like an avatar of your personality,
Yeah.
right? And it's something that like it kind of acts like as a channel to like your creative juices and
Mhm.
creative process.
Mhm.
So like examples of that, like famous examples are like Larry the Cable Guy. Larry the Cable Guy was a character that comedian created, that he funneled like a lot of his, like, I don't know, his creative mindset to. Other characters like Adam Ray does Dr. Phil
Yeah.
character is really, so that's kind of like Diane's version of that, and she's just such on a different level when she does. Would argue when Diane is doing Walter Mercado that she competes with any headliner in Miami,
Mhm.
in South Florida.
Mhm.
She's so good. Her audience interactions are beautiful, and it's a great testament to all the improv work and all of the things that she has done. That it's just an awesome experience. We did it at Mel Grapes, which is in West Kendall. I love that room. It's one of my favorite rooms. We sell it out. We sold it out that night. We sell it out every night.
Mhm.
It's over 75 people in that room. And it's a long alleyway room, but it's beautiful because from the stage, you can actually see almost everyone's faces in the crowd, which is a
Mhm.
beautiful experience. Great ownership there. They really are bought in and believe in what we're doing as a comedic experience. We do little tweaks and touches everywhere, but it was a great show. It was a great show. Mars was also on that show, Mars O'Neill, and he did great. Like that show, every once in a while lately, I've been having these shows where top to bottom, every comedian that goes up on stage is just doing a great job. They're having either
Mhm.
murdering or they're having just a great set. They have the audience's full attention. So that show we had Mars, Tarno, Crisilio, and me and Diane, of course, and just an awesome show. Talked about him. Diane did like 45 minutes
Oh wow.
as Walter. I was going to light her early. I was going to try and pull her off early,
Mm.
but you can see the fervor in the audience. So she would go to each table, kind of doing like a reading, if you will, for each audience member. And she, like, you could see for every table was like jumping with joy, excited,
Oh, okay.
waiting for her to get to them,
Yeah, yeah.
which is exactly what you want in any comedy show experience. You want the audience to be just so electrified, so excited. And it was a really great show. So that was Friday night. Honestly, Diane should run her own solo show because she's just that talented and that good and just underrated in the scene, truly. So go follow Diane. Diane is Loud is her social media. So please go follow her. She's such a great performer, great friend. And she really deserves a lot more attention.
Yeah, I love her. She was on. I had her.
Oh yeah,
a while back, but yeah, she's great.
She's the one person I would say has more energy than I do, which is very rare. Like when I'm on stage, I'm usually like the most energetic person, but she sometimes like eclipses me easily with her energy.
You also had some like really great shows, especially like new venues, new shows since you've last been on here.
Yeah.
One thing I really want to talk to you about is your Comic Cons shows, because when you were last year, I think it was just Sunrise where you had your shows, but it's expanded.
Yeah.
I think I saw Miami Beach. I think one time New York was one of them.
Yeah. So we've been very fortunate. I've been very blessed and fortunate that I know the Comic Con community pretty well. I'm a nerd. I'm a full-on nerd. So I used to have podcasts in the past, in very long past, many moons ago, some people would say, where I would do podcasts out of comic book shops. I would do podcasts out of Comic Cons. I have like live panel podcasts.
Okay.
So I had a kind of a small relationship with those venues, but those relationships then now doing comedy have expanded. Now I can bring a performance aspect to a Comic Con. You were at one. I remember we had you up on stage. You were dressed as a Picard. I remember.
Yeah, that's my Halloween costume.
It was great. Sunrise Comic Con, which I love doing, is coming up in March, so to keep posted. Sunrise Comic Con, we're going to be there again. We do that. That's more of an all ages show, so we do pretty much like everyone. We try to keep it clean because kids do attend that one.
Yeah.
So we try to make it like all ages, which is great because it's comics testing out honestly new material, because comics trying to be able to be personable and be well performing in front of all ages, in front of kids, in front of teenagers, adults. So it's a different level of comedy. Definitely, it's actually a higher bar. Honestly, that's a hard task for a lot of comics to ask, to stay clean, to stay motivated in that space. And I love that Comic-Con is really cool. It's very close to home. We get a good attendance there. We should get we pack out the room almost every time we do it there. And it's just a fun experience. You meet some of the celebrities there. It's cool. They give us our own green room. That's the one thing I love about that Comic-Con. We have our own green room. Nice. They feed us, they take care of us. Shout out to City Sunrise. Shout out to Sunrise Comic-Con. It's coming up again in March. I don't have the exact date, but it's coming up in March. Then, of course, in June is Florida SuperCon. So, again, in early 2021, we were able to do one show at Florida SuperCon. And in that show, we blew the doors off the place. It was fully packed out, standing room only. Over 300 people were in that room. It was a great experience. So we were able to send the photos and the head counts to the administration at Florida SuperCon. They fell in love with it. They gave us 2 shows, the next con, 2022.
Okay.
2023, they gave us all 3 days. We had a show every single day.
Oh, wow.
Of SuperCon. And then we did it this year again. And again, we blew the doors off the place. We had one room. It was our Saturday night show. Connie Fernandez was in attendance. Zach Bugarin was there. Adrian Hernandez. We had a great lineup for that show. I did a seat count. I do a seat count now before shows to kind of get an idea. So when I do the show, there was over 420 seats in that room.
Yeah.
Every seat of that room was filled. And again, standing room. So we had almost 440 people in that room. And just the coolest thing, Barsky, was for these SuperCon shows, they make people line up. They make them form a line because they actually scan them in, because they have to make sure they're 18 and older for stuff. So seeing people line up for your comedy show beforehand and seeing how long, it's such it's such a cool experience to see people waiting, wanting to see you. It's not people, okay, we'll come stop in. People lining up with fervor and with I want to see a great comedy show. such a cool experience,
That's
and
cool.
I love the audiences at SuperCon. So to get to the last point, SuperCon is owned by a conglomerate. They have like a parent company, right?
Mhm.
This parent company does Comic Cons all throughout the United States.
Mhm.
So we were in communication with SuperCon about other projects that we're gonna announce soon, actually next year, which is very exciting. But during that conversation, talking about months later after we did SuperCon, like it was not really in my thought process at the moment. Is SuperCon approach the people I spoke to in SuperCon approach? I was like, "Hey, we're really excited about all these projects we want to move forward with, but while we're in discussion with you, would you want to do a show at New York Comic Con?"
Mhm.
And that was like, yes, obviously. I called Tarno, I called everyone
Mhm.
in to tell them, "Hey, we're going to New York Comic Con."
Oh,
This is like
nice.
is honestly, as a nerd and as a performer, this is a dream of mine. It's in
Mhm.
the Javits Center. The Javits Center is like one of the biggest convention centers in the United States.
Mhm.
It's literally facing the Hudson. There's over, I mean, the amount of people that are at the convention itself was ridiculous. It was like over 60,000 people.
Mhm.
You have major companies having like vendor spaces. So we're talking about like Scholastic Books, like the actual Scholastic Book Company is there. Marvel has a Capcom, PlayStation, they all have actual, these are real time, like well thought out, a lot of money behind it exhibits because they're announcing movies, they're announcing TV shows, they're announcing products at this convention. So it's just a big deal. It's one of the biggest conventions in the United States in general. So I go up there. Thank God we have a lot of transplant Miami comics and Florida comics that are
Mhm.
now in New York. That includes like Mandy Vasco, Jack Norris, Jeff Quintana at the time, Evan Wembley. So me and Adrian go up and we have like a great weekend in New York. It was the first time I've ever been in New York, first time as a comedian performing in New York. So we did a show in Brooklyn. We did a show in Greenwich Village, which was great. Shout out to the comedy shop in Greenwich Village. You guys were amazing. And then I was worried as a comic because you worry about how your material will travel,
Mhm.
especially to another state. Like I know the Florida audience pretty well. I have a lot of geared Florida material to
Mhm.
here,
Yeah.
but I was wondering if my personality, if my performance would translate to another state, specifically New York
Mhm.
City. And I was very nervous about that before doing the actual show at New York Comic Con. That comedy shop Greenwich Village show was 2 hours before our actual show at Comic Con. And my material translated well there. We had a really good show, really good performance there. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe it will work in New York. And
Mhm.
again, we packed out that room. There's over 350 people in that room. And that was probably my best show, not only booking, but performance wise, I've ever had.
Oh, nice.
Like to just dominate a room and like have it be so loud
Yeah.
and like everyone's bought in again, like all the audience is there, they want to laugh. They're even letting like experimental kind of like raunchy material fly. Like
Okay.
it was it was a truly once in a lifetime experience for me. And now because of that, we're going to be going back. We're going back
Mhm.
next year, New York Comic Con. We're going to be going to a lot of Comic Cons around the nation very soon. So
Oh,
get ready.
nice. Hopefully, they'll get you to the ones in LA. LA Comic Con. The
Probably,
Comic Con.
probably San Diego would be, whew, that would be a dream.
Or was it is it San Diego? Okay.
It isn't well,
Okay.
it's like LA. Well, it's San Diego.
Okay.
San Diego's the original Comic Con. It's the original. It's the big one. It's
Yeah.
the one
Okay.
that they make real big announcements at. That
Yeah.
it's the one that like
All the movie
CNN will go
stars.
to,
Okay.
like that Comic Con. That would be a dream. That would be a dream. Maybe I'll reach out to them. And I performed in California before. I know my material is okay in California, but that would be truly a dream, man. That would be like next level stuff for me.
One time, this was years ago, I volunteered at a Comic Con. This was in Mississippi, and when I went there, it was my first time like helping them volunteer, and they select me to I forgot what was the name of the role, but basically like be the handler for one of the people.
Yeah.
So the person like I didn't know who it was until I actually met the person. and it was the producer. I forgot his name now, but it was got the producer of the show Yu Yu Hakusho, yeah,
Okay.
which was an anime show which I loved. I
Yeah.
mean, I was big on anime back in the day, especially like Dragon Ball. But this was like my favorite show of all, just because like I was really related to the character a lot, and I like really liked that show. And this was the guy like it was originally made in like the manga series and stuff in Japan, but he's the one that brought it to the US and he actually voiced the main character. So I actually was like his handler and so I hung out with him the whole time
Oh, that's cool.
during the whole Comic-Con. And one thing they like told us beforehand, like since I was a volunteer, like the people running it, they told us like a lot of these people that like are coming to the Comic Con, they've never probably this is their only time they've ever stepped outside before. They're not used to like going out. They
Yeah.
might be like a little like socially awkward and
Yeah.
stuff like that, or they're dressed up, and this is like their only opportunity that they can really reveal themselves. And it was just like I was just in awe and watching people like go. I mean, I'm not only meeting him and just like these are people you can tell that really aren't like comfortable being around other people or in public. But I'm saying is like I really enjoy these Comic Cons because it really allows people that to get out of their shell and like especially people that are not socially comfortable with other people.
Definitely. I agree with that 1,000% because like you see it when you go to Comic Con. Anyone's ever been to Comic Con, you see that there's people maybe they're a little hesitant to walk in the hallways and stuff like that. You can
Yeah,
see that they're a little averse to the crowds, but it makes it a very important part of the experience. It makes it communal,
yeah,
which is what you always want in any event like that. You
of
want it to be
course,
like some community, some communal aspect to it. And yeah, it's true. I'm not saying it's not true that there are people who I'm not saying they're like hermits or anything, but they live a really enclosed life,
yeah,
right? They probably have a job that they work from home. They don't really step outside too much. So like big events like that are the only times they really take on that. And especially I'm not saying there's a direct correlation, but people who are like generally watching anime, manga, or playing video games are
yeah,
not really going to take a step outside sometimes. That's why I think comic book shops and like e-gaming stores should stick around.
mm-hmm,
Not because of like the nerd aspect of it, but because it's for some people that's the only time that they're going to experience being outside or communicating with other people,
right,
which is a very important mental health aspect of it. It's a very not talked about enough aspect of it because I do think the more technologically advanced we get as a society, the more the digital age takes over and like integrates more with everything we do. Like I want to say it. I think there's a statistic like more than 25% of Americans work from home now, like purely work from home. Like most people don't go to movie theaters anymore to see a movie. Like, and now with like the adaption of being able to order food from home and stuff like that, and how quick and easy it is now, the convenience of it. I can see people that can go probably like a week and a half without ever leaving their house,
mm-hmm,
and it's such an important thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, and if you want to live your life that way, by all means, live your life
right,
that way. But like daylight, like circadian rhythms, for example. You were talking about sleep earlier, right?
mm-hmm,
Circadian rhythms are such an important part of your inner biome, your inner biology. Like seeing sunlight, our body lets out chemicals and lets out responses when your eyes get in contact with sunlight. That's why a lot of
mm-hmm,
people recommend to have like sleep near a window
okay,
because when the sunlight hits your face and you like and it catches your eyes, it'll actually that'll wake you up more than having a cup of
mm-hmm,
coffee. Isn't that crazy? Like that's a cool
hmm.
thing. But yeah, it's a great experience. I love Comic Cons, and then again, it makes for a great community aspect.
Speaking of like being secluded or just staying home, I don't know if you saw like I posted a while back like I had a boot. I had to wear a boot because I like hurt my ankle, so
Yeah,
like I had to wear a boot for 6 weeks, and like the doctor told me like I had to wear it pretty much all the time. So even when I went to the gym, I like wore the boot, but I wasn't trying to like go outside and walk around with the boot because it like just made my ankle hurt more.
Yeah.
So I was like, I really had to just stay home. And I'm pretty like a homebody person. I don't mind. But like if I stay home for a while, I'll have that urge that I want to like just go outside and be somewhere and stuff.
Yeah. It's like a cabin fever type of
Yeah.
deal.
So like I just got a lot of books. I mean, I don't know if you see like
No,
I
yeah, it's
still
great.
got them just because I've been so used to. Last week was or this past week was the last like the 6th week that I was able to get off the boot. So this is actually the first week I've
Oh,
actually
sweet.
finally got off the boot.
Nice.
But like I'm so used to like having all these books. Like I'm still like just staying home and just like going through these books or like DVDs. I'm like, okay, let me just consume as much as I can. But there's
Yeah.
like I probably like can go like 2-3 days without like really stepping outside at all or
Yeah.
feel like to be out anywhere publicly. But like I have those urges that okay, I want to like go out and like
Yeah.
see people or go out and be seen and stuff like that.
So I'm recently interviewing for day jobs, right?
Mm,
And one of the day jobs is a work from home position. And
mhm.
my family was worried at one point about like, oh, but you're gonna lose like your social like interaction. And then they all stopped and like, oh wait, no, he's a comedian. He goes out every night. He's literally
Yeah.
the social experience.
Yeah.
Which don't get me wrong, I think something I'm looking for now is a balance in my life
Yeah.
because I'm getting to the point where I'm almost living out my car.
Mm.
And like I'm in my car more because I'm driving to so many shows. But I hate that because man, whenever I have downtime, I turn to a bear. I
Mhm.
basically hibernate half the
Yeah.
day. Like I don't wake up sometimes until 12 or 12:30,
Yeah.
and that's not exactly a healthy time to wake up.
Yeah.
I need to try to like formulate some balance. So I'm working on that. That's something I've been working on a lot lately, actually.
Yeah, no, balance is really good. That's why I like staying home because it just makes me appreciate more of like going out when I'm ready to go out.
Yeah,
Especially like if I go out during the day, if I'm out and about during the day, I'm kind of tired during the night to go out.
yeah,
So I realized after like kind of experimenting and doing a lot that if I'm gonna plan to do something at night, which is usually maybe do an open mic or go to a comedy show, I really have to stay in home during the whole day, which kind of bothers me. But that's why I have to have stuff to entertain myself, like books. I'm a big
yeah.
bookworm, so
But
like
that's good. I
yeah,
mean that's you using your mental process
yeah,
in like a very constructive way to read, and to get gain intelligence, to gain knowledge on things. It's better being on Candy Crush for over like 2 days, bro. I'm not hating on the Candy Crush community.
yeah.
Please don't come after me.
Well, yeah, anything that gets me not on my phone,
Yeah.
like I'll usually like read out on my patio and like my phone's like inside here, so I
Yeah.
don't even like look at
Can
it.
can I share with you like my biggest like cringe, like my
Mhm.
biggest like oh I don't want to know this about myself kind of deal. Whenever the iPhone or whatever phone you has, it gives you like a weekly update of how long you've
Oh
been on
yeah.
screen time. I hate looking at that number because I know that
Yeah.
number is gonna be something that it's truly unhealthy. It's like, oh God, like I'm so terrified. I mean, don't get me wrong, I live a lot on my phone. Not like fun wise, I live on my phone because
Yeah.
I'm on consistently calling people, making
Yeah.
flyers, calling, booking stuff. But that's something I do. I could feel in my eyes sometimes that like,
Yeah.
oh man, I'm looking too much at the screen.
8 o'clock is usually my cutoff time from not looking at my phone because
Yeah,
that really I mean, especially since I try to go to bed early,
yeah,
8 o'clock, like the blue light is like I can't look at that. Like I don't even look at the TV. Like
yeah,
that's usually like my reading time or read till I go to sleep or like take some tea.
yeah.
Are you able to share what you 'cause, I mean, today
It's
you should have
bad.
I
It's a
got
bad
mine
number.
today. I'll share mine because it actually went down.
Okay, what's yours?
Mine, I think it was 3 hours and 20 something
Oh,
minutes,
dude,
which went down. I was excited because like I think last week it was like four something, and I was like, okay. And I think a few weeks ago it was five, and that's when I really like, oh my god.
Barsky, I would kill to have that number. I would kill to have that number. You don't want to know. You want okay?
But I tell you, like books,
Uh-huh.
if I'm reading a lot,
Yeah.
that's when. I mean, one time I was like reading so much, it got to like an hour and a half, and I never. That was the only I've only gotten into that once.
Yeah.
But I was like reading like this is when I really was like prime time reading so much. But like I just noticed that I'm reading a lot. That keeps me away from my phone.
I would love my number to be that. You want to know what my number is?
Yeah, I shared mine.
It is gonna hurt.
What was it today? Yeah.
12 minutes. I mean, 12 hours and 30 seconds.
But you got business dealings too, so I give you that.
A little bit of it is also because of podcasts. So
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen
Mhm.
to like probably like 10 podcasts a week, right?
Mhm.
Because I'm just trying to stay up to date.
Right.
I'm trying to like that's kind of like how I gather news lately, honestly, is through podcasts. Like I listen to people talk. It also lets me know like where the comedy sphere is at. I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts.
Mhm.
So I always keep that on the background on my phone, and I have like AirPods in, or I'll just
Right.
have it playing. So that does. But I'll tell you, like, you want to know how addicted I am? My hand is starting to get like a natural like
Oh,
grip like
man.
this,
Mhm.
and the reason why is because I'm falling asleep with my phone in my hand like this
Oh, no.
at night. So it's something I really need to work on. It's definitely almost addiction level type of deal.
One more project I want to ask about
Yeah.
is like you mentioned about podcasting.
Yes.
And I'm not sure. Sometimes I see you doing something with the Weird Waters. So I don't
Yes.
know if that's your current project or that's current, or
Weird.
you looks like he has something else going on with.
So Weird Wire is my main like home base podcast.
Uh-huh.
But besides that, there are two other podcasts I'm involved with.
Mm-hmm.
One is a podcast I do with David. He's a producer. He's actually a director. He directed movies and stuff like that. And Pico, you've seen before. Pico TV. He doesn't want me to say his first name. So Pico and David, they have a podcast together called Macho Cine Talks, where basically they talk about movies.
Okay.
And I'm kind of like the third head on that podcast.
Gotcha.
And I rotate. I help with sound. I help, like whenever they have a topic that they don't feel like they have knowledge on, they call me up. And I do that podcast with them, which is a really good podcast. We get really great clips out of it. I used to do a movie podcast a long time ago, so I have a lot of good knowledge on movies and stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're kind of getting at the end of this podcast.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you'd like to like share for our listeners?
Yeah. I know the title's podcast is Someday, and the idea is that someday you're gonna reach your someday, right?
Yeah.
You gotta keep grinding. I hate saying, trust me, I hate hearing that word as much as any other person out there. But it's the truest word to the experience, and it's the truest word to what you have to do. And grinding, it means that you're taking on all your opportunities as a maximum amount as you can, right? And trying to be efficient with them. Well, yes, sir. Okay, so we had a show recently that the host was asking me, "Hey, should we cancel the show? It looks like we're gonna have a low turnout. Worried about this show." And I kind of stuck to his mantra in my mind is like, we don't cancel shows. Why do we not cancel shows? Because I'll tell you why. That same show, we had a bunch of walk-ins, a big turnout actually came out to that show and changed the whole entire aspect of that show. So we don't cancel shows because of that. And it's kind of like, again, that grind mindset. You don't give up. You keep trying. It is easier to give up. It is easier to give up. Not just like the full experience, but like giving up on small things. That's where you start finding the lack in yourself, right? I hate saying that, but it's where you start finding the faults in yourself a little bit, right? So you gotta commit. If you're gonna approach something in the performance field, like musician, comedian, actor, actress, a stage performer, a poet, you gotta commit 100%. I hate saying like that. You can be a hobbyist, and which is fine. It's fine. I don't say that in a derogatory sense. I say that in a loving, hey, this is a hobby. Just like some people have painting as a hobby, and that's okay. But they're two different realms. There's the hobbyist. I've written about this. There's a hobbyist, and there's the full-time trying to do a comedian. Both sides should respect each other 1,000%. But if you're gonna be on this side, if you're gonna be a comedian, you gotta understand that you gotta be on a show almost every night. You gotta
Mhm.
be grinding. You gotta be going out there, trying new material. You gotta see if what material works, what doesn't. You gotta be writing. A normal professional comedian is writing new bits, new material, or working on material for at least 2 hours in their week. At least 2 hours. So those are the things you gotta consider. And again, to just take the backdrop and be like vague about it, you just gotta keep going, gotta keep pressing. There's times, man, I can't tell you how many times I've like wanted to quit on something. I wanted to give it up on a show, and I don't, and it pays off. I'll tell you, my biggest opportunity I ever got in my life, based around comedy, was came about from a show that I was gonna do that no one attended. Literally, no one attended. Comedians were driving by. I was like, "Go home. Like, there's no one here."
Mhm.
And it was just me solo in a room, and there was a food truck guy outside, and he heard one of my previous shows. He heard me at one of my previous shows. He saw me do my because I brought my stage that day. I set up my stage. I set
Mhm.
up the whole entire. And he was like, "Bro, I love how professional you are. I love like everything you do.
Mm.
Hey, give me your contact. I want to put you up to someone else."
Okay.
And that guy put me in touch with a casino, a
Mm.
full fledged casino,
Mhm.
and I started doing shows for that casino. And that was
Okay.
at that time for me and for others. That was like a huge opportunity that has bared other fruits. That's bared
Mhm.
other fruits. So what I'm trying to say is, it seems like the right move sometimes. To even seems like the right move sometimes to quit, and could be, and it could be in your realm. For me, it's been like pressing on, and I know this is like one of the most cliche statements of all time, but it's one of the truest. You always shoot for the moon. You always shoot for the moon, because even if you don't make it to the moon, you land among the stars, right?
Mhm.
And I know it's such a first grade cheesy statement,
Yeah.
but it's so true, man. And that's why I appreciate podcasts like this. I appreciate because I don't like always being silly. I mean, look,
Mhm.
comedians should always be silly.
Yeah.
Number one, okay, like take your political crap somewhere else, or be silly. The point of being a comedian is being funny, but I like being able to talk about like the grind sometimes, and that's what I hope I did here.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Are you working on anything that our listeners should or what viewers should know about?
Yeah. Oh boy, here, get your pen out. Here we go. Right, ready.
Hey, I got mine.
So follow me personally at Funny Raul. So just funny, the word funny, and Raul, Raul. Our shows are all broadcasted on Dade County Comedy. So Dade County Comedy, very important. The podcast I'm on, of course, the Weird Waters podcast. If you're in for like an R-rated raunchy podcast, that is Weird Waters. Come on in. If the water's fine, is great. If you're into more movies, Macho Cine Talks, podcast I do with David and Pico. If you are in for like debate, like live show, really funny experience, and something you can attend, if you ever want to come out, it's on Wednesdays at Eddie's place, and that's the Master Debaters podcast, the Master Debaters comedy show. Excuse me. That's ran by Jay Millie, and that's it. That's pretty much all I got. We have a lot of shows coming up. The best way to stay on top of all the shows and all the new announcements is following us at DadeCountyComedy.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Raul, for coming all the way from the Miami area. Like, appreciate, glad to see you again.
Glad to
To
see you.
especially having you on this podcast. I like I said before, I was just kind of winging it with my questions because I mean we know each other pretty well that I
Yeah,
felt
yeah.
like I'm comfortable enough with you that I didn't have to have some like pre-interview
I
questions. So
appreciate that.
yeah, that's great. But thank you so much for joining me on Sunday with Jay Barsky.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to our episode with Raul Hernandez. Follow him on all his socials, which you may find in the episode notes. I hope you enjoyed our episode. Please rate and comment on the podcast to help make it grow. If you wish to follow me, all my socials are at I am Jay Barsky. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon.